Welcome to the Marketing Millennials, the No BS Marketing Podcast. I'm Daniel Murray, and join me for unfiltered conversations with the brains behind marketing's coolest companies. The one request I tell our guests, stories or it didn't happen. Get ready to turn the up. Welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Millennials Podcast. Today, we're diving into one of the most highly competitive and highly regulated world of cannabis marketing. Today, my guest is Mike Tebb. He's a marketing director at Fig Farms. Fig Farms is one of the most respected brands in the industry. We're talking about how to market the cannabis industry without getting shut down, how to navigate strict regulations across different marketing channels, and how to make sure you get the best content from your videographer or photographer. Let's jump in. What is up, Mike? Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I want to kick it off by, I know you are in one of the most heavily regulated industries, cannabis, and it's hard to market anything because of all the rules and regulations, but there are a lot of cannabis companies out there that are doing great things, including yours online. So what is the secret for cannabis marketing?
The biggest piece of advice I could give anyone, especially marketers within that space, to have content be successful in any way, shape, or form in the cannabis realm is to understand your rules to the 107% mark, get really close to breaking them, and take about 2 steps back. And that's going to be your happy little sweet spot. Cannabis is, it's Prop 215 was, I believe, 97. Prop 64 was like 2016. So, I think we're on like 28, getting kind of close to 30 years of that in California. It's where I'm from. I work out of Oakland. And, we have a ton of regulations imposed all the way from, cultivation to our marketing material, just because there's a lot of misinformation around, how it works. So, but understanding, the rules, getting real close to breaking them, and 2 steps back is a nice, happy little sweet spot where you're going to get a lot of work done. You're going to keep your clients happy. So, and you're going to be able to, win some hearts and minds on the brand marketing side. So,
could you give an example what the line is, and then that like 2 steps back from that line, what that example is?
So I try to tell anybody really in the content marketing space in cannabis to go check the rules on Instagram, to really read them, because technically promoting cannabis on Instagram is technically against the rules. So what you have to do to get around that is really tell the story. The story of whatever you're talking about will save you from a situation, where you're going to get in trouble when you go, hey, look at this. We can't really post a lot of our product. I probably take anywhere from 8 to 20 macro shots a week. Each one of those shots are anywhere from 24 to about 85, 90 stacked photos, to be able to show the consumer our product. When we manage our menus on our side, when we're putting things on our Google Drive, when we're putting things on our website, like things like that are totally fine. But if you were to just take that nug straight to Instagram, there's a pretty high chance you're going to get in trouble. So it's a very, very, very fine line. So telling that story and being a storyteller within this space is huge.
So I know storytelling is the main focus, but what is the type of like storytelling you're doing? Is it educational? Is it lifestyle? Is it entertainment? Like, what is that best content that actually works?
So the best content that actually works is, I have a lot of success on Instagram Reels. Being as though it's so heavily governed and my stuff typically doesn't go down. So my stuff will shine on there, but you could go as far as doing a product review as long as you're telling a story. And you just ride that line really, really close. But the content that your consumers are looking for is number one in terms of like the informational stuff for a store menu. It really is the burden of the whole industry to do educational content. All these consumers in the cannabis space are grossly misinformed on how to judge quality. And it's a very, very huge level of separation in between your cultivations and the information that your consumer gets for them to judge quality, because everybody's judging quality off a THC percentage. It couldn't be any more wrong, really. I mean, like, sure, it's a pretty decent indicator. Was the plant healthy? A lot of days, there's certain stores that I walk into and I won't be able to find something that I know in a California dispensary that I know to be healthy to actually ingest. So it's really the burden of us brands to do the education on what's clean, what's not, how to kind of look for those things. So, but your lifestyle content's huge because you could use on your website, you could use on your menus, you could use in your brand kit. A lot of cannabis companies don't have the ability to have multiple marketers per business. One of the biggest marketing departments in the space that I've ever managed was like independent marketers in that place. It's probably about seven. But I've been a part of ragtag operations where I'm teaching bud tenders how to be coordinators. You know what I mean? And it's gritty. So a lot of that is really trying to entertain people, create something that people can level with the brand, and the brand marketing in the spaces. Winning the hearts and minds, especially in a place where you could potentially lose all your posts that show people your credibility, is huge.
I know. So Instagram has like strict regulations. Facebook has strict regulations. What are the channels that people are using to get in front of consumers? Because obviously, I grew up in San Diego, like lived in LA, and you probably see a cannabis store billboard. That's probably the only way I've seen a lot of cannabis content, and said except for maybe influencers or someone else talking about a certain store or someone on a podcast talking about it. So what are the other avenues to market with those strict regulations?
We can't go to radio, we can't go to TV. The closest thing that we can do in terms of something like that is like a brand deal with an athlete who then goes themselves on TV. So there's loopholes within that system like that. So California's been so isolated that marketing hasn't been on a multi-state operator level yet until very recently. So one of the biggest ways people have been getting in front of their own consumers is just holding events and literally having them out. That's your dollar for dollar kind of cheapest way to win hearts and minds. And then from there, they kind of follow the social. So your scope of things you could do is pretty limited, unless someone is inside of a store themselves. And then, you got your shelf talkers, you got your banners, you have, your print marketing collateral up and stuff like that. But the amount of ways you can really go about it is extremely, extremely limited. So,
Yeah, so you also come from like a videographer, photographer background. So could you explain to people, just not even in the cannabis industry in general, but like how you go about planning a shoot or photography? What are the steps people need to take to make sure they get the right assets out of it, the right formats out of it? Because this is a big issue in marketing in general is, how do I plan a shoot? How do I plan with photography? How do I get the right, make sure I ask, and what should I be asking for? Because I need to get reels, I need to get Instagram posts, I need to get website content, I need to get videos for YouTube. What should I be asking for, and how do you plan a shoot and session?
So if you're the client coming in and you're looking to get your assets, make a list. It's the clarity in that moment is worth everything. Have your list of stuff you want to achieve, and make sure that you have a shooter that is just going to shoot it to you straight. Your guys that are going to tell you no to things are telling you no because they're just trying to be honest. There's a lot of young, scrappy shooters out there that are going to say yes to everything because they're trying to get a name. It's funny. I always tell people that I want to be your third shooter because your first guy, he's going to be your cheap guy. The client's going to learn how to work with creatives on the second guy. And so I want to be the third guy. Once those toe stubs have happened, that's when I want to come in and work with someone. But you want to find your guys who are willing to have a conversation and tell you the pain points.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I mean, if you have a good brief, and you understand what you want, and also if the other side, if you're a videographer, make sure you demand that brief, because you're just going to go through the pain of shooting something. They're going to not like it. It's going to be back and forth for a long time. But if you get on the same page, like you said, even if it's an hour meeting before, or having write down everything you want, especially, and give examples of things that you like and don't like, it will help you. But I want to go into a rapid fire session quickly and ask you some quick questions and on the cannabis industry and marketing, and get quick answers from you. Is that cool?
Yep.
Cool. What is the most underrated cannabis marketing channel?
People's websites.
Best performing content format, short form or long form?
Short form, but you need your long form to tell a story of a brand. So do your short stuff first, do your long stuff later.
What's one cannabis brand that's killing it in marketing besides what you're doing?
Bosky. They were some legacy fellows who have came to, the lights, the light side, and really focus on what they focus on right now. They do a bunch of cool events. They're out there putting the product in people's hands and really talking to people. Bosky's crushing it, and I just adore those guys over there.
What is the biggest myth about marketing cannabis?
That it's easy. People just go like, oh, they're a bunch of stone loadies. Like,
what's your best tip for growing a cannabis brand from scratch?
show up and show up to events, but show up to the right events, because your brand is providing credibility for the event series you go to, and don't be scared to put it in people's hands for free.
If cannabis ads weren't allowed on all channels, where would be the first thing you would run to?
I would sprint to TikTok. I would sprint there. If you type the word weed, an automated thing will more than likely get rid of your whole account with under 20 minutes.
What's a marketing hill you would die on?
If you're a brand owner and you or somebody higher level within that brand that your consumers need to see, not getting mic'd up is you need to get mic'd up. If you're a face or a big operator of a brand, if you're not in that content, you're only going to go so far.
And lastly, where could people find what you're doing, and where could people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Mikey Tebb. That's my personal account. Free for bookings and stuff there. Michael Tebb on LinkedIn. You check us. You check the page that that my current employer is with. We're bigger on the fig.farms on Instagram. But we're bigger at just maintaining the website and the and channels like that.
Thank you. It's so insightful to hear different industries, because it's so hard. Marketing is so broad, and especially industry to industry, profession to profession. Like how to think about content marketing in cannabis is way different than software, and what you need to shoot and what you don't need to shoot is different. But the one through line through all this is like storytelling wins no matter what industry you're in. So, and then also you said something very great too, is like personalities. If you're not sharing the founder and why you started the brand, and show faces of the brand, people won't trust you. So
gotta kill the skepticism, entertain and educate all at the same time.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for listening. Keep tuning in to hear more great insights from the coolest marketers from around the world. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and follow the Marketing Millennials podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, I would greatly appreciate you giving us a 5-star rating. It helps bring more marketers into our community.